6:18 a.m. is the scheduled wake-up time for the Challenger's crew. At 6:45, they file in for the traditional breakfast photo call. The mission controller has warned them to anticipate delays due to temperature problems, with a probable liftoff close to noon.
Ron McNair, and pilot Mike Smith, followed by Krista McAuliffe, teacher in space, and Ellison Onizuka, and payload specialist Greg Jarvis. Big smiles today. Confidently getting into the van. They're going to go up to that pad and attempt a second try. Second try at launch today. It'll take a few minutes for the astronaut van to get to the pad.
The astronauts are driven through the exclusion zone around the launch pad. It is in force because should a shuttle explode before liftoff, it would do so with the force of a small atomic bomb.
In the meantime,
as the astronauts prepare to board, Commander Dick Scobie has a present for the closeout crew. It's a bolt wrapped in a red ribbon, a playful dig at the problems of yesterday. Around the launch pad, ground crew are still clearing ice. Remote cameras clearly show the scale of the problem. As Krista McAuliffe prepares to board, the technicians present her with a delicious big polished apple for the teacher. She hands it back, saying, "Save it for me. I'll eat it when I get back." Krista's parents, Grace and Ed Corrigan, are also at the Cape to witness the launch.
We're getting a little bit of trepidation as we're getting closer and closer.
Excitement is also building at Concord High School, where Krista's pupils wait to see their teacher become the first civilian in space. At 11:15 a.m., the ICE team perform a final inspection at the launch site. They report that ice formations are still extensive on those parts of the launch pad in the shade. The ice crew then evacuate. At Morton Thiokol, the engineers gather for their customary meeting of the SEAL task force. The atmosphere is subdued.
You okay, Roger?
The launch countdown clock is at T-9 minutes and holding. The weather at the launch site is clear but cold. Jay Green is the mission controller in Houston for this launch. He now polls his 11-strong team, and each says, "Go for launch." The T-9 countdown begins. Roger has never watched a launch on television at work. He prefers to get on with the tasks in hand. But today he has been persuaded to come and watch by colleague Bob Eberling.
This is the walkway used by the astronauts to climb in the vehicle, and that arm can be put back in place within about 15 to 20 seconds if an emergency should arise. Liquid oxygen ullage pressure checks are underway.
At T-10 seconds, water jets are turned on to deaden the sound of launch. Igniters light the frozen gases from the engines. The sudden force rocks the shuttle forwards on the pad. As it returns to upright, the shuttle is released.
And liftoff. 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
During each second of its ascent, the space shuttle burns 10 tons of frozen gases and solid fuel.
Engines beginning throttling down now at 94%.
At 19,000 feet, Challenger passes Mach 1. The three main engines are throttled back to 65% in anticipation of the stress that engineers call Max Q, maximum aerodynamic pressure.
second. Altitude.
When the shuttle reaches 50,000 feet, the engines are powered back up to full thrust.
Engines throttling up, 3 engines out, 104%. Challenger, go at throttle up. 1 minute 15 seconds. Velocity 2,900 feet per second. Altitude 9 nautical miles. Downrange distance 7 nautical miles. Flight controllers here looking very carefully at the situation. Obviously a major malfunction. We have no downlink. We have a report from the...
30 seconds after the explosion, the solid rocket boosters are destroyed by remote control.
Fido, can we get any reports from recovery forces? Stand by. JC, all operators, contingency procedures in effect.
In the moments after the crash, air-sea rescue services are scrambled to look for survivors, but there are none. Tonight, President Reagan will suspend the State of the Union address and instead pay tribute to the 7 astronauts. Following the stunned silence that accompanies the knowledge that something had gone very wrong, people begin to ask themselves, why? It will later transpire that one of the remote cameras trained on the launch pad has captured vital evidence of exactly what happened. Even as the shuttle leaves the pad, superheated gas can be seen being forced through one of the joints in the starboard SRB. Both O-rings have failed. Roger Beaujolais will give evidence at the Presidential Commission into the Challenger disaster. In the following months he will leave, first on sick leave, but then for good. The Commission will find that NASA's senior managers were not aware of the concerns raised by Morton Thiokol. They will also find that Morton Thiokol revised its position under pressure from NASA and contrary to the views of its engineers. Morton Thiokol will retain their contract to build the SRBs, and the joint will later be redesigned.